In today's video, we're going to be learning how to make your own personalized AI inside of Python using Tkinter graphics, just like this. And this is going to be our main login and sign up window, where we have two prompts, which one being the email and the other being the password. So I can log in using one of my spam Gmails, and all we have to do is input our password right here. And as you can see, it's hidden, and click log in, just like that. Then we have our AI right here with the name and two buttons, one saying clear UI and the other saying wipe cloud. So our AI is fully functioning. We can say hey to it, and let's see its response that it gives to us. And as you can see, we get our response from our AI. And in today's video, I will be showing you how to make this AI by yourself from scratch with every single UI button that comes with it. And I'm going to click wipe cloud right there and click yes, and now all our data is deleted. Now to get on with our video. And before I go any further into the video, if you are interested in more programming tutorials like this and want to learn more about other different programming languages, I recommend going to this website right here, which is bitscriptlive@blogspot.com, and I'll leave the link in the description. And in this website, you can go through multiple blogs about how to get started and where to start from, depending on what you want to do with your specific programming knowledge and which programming language would suit best for you. And on this blog, you have so many blogs, and you can search for more. Any blog you want to talk about, we have everything you need to get started with your programming journey inside of Bitscript Live, and everything is right here all for you to read, and you can get more information and more examples of source code right from the main blog on bitscriptlive.blogspot.com. And now to get on with the video. So the first thing we're going to need to do is actually install our external modules necessary. And the first module we're going to need is the Pyrebase, which we're going to use for our main database backend using Google Firebase. And the second one we're going to need is the Hugging Face module, which is going to give us access to our free API key that we are going to use inside of this video. Now to install these modules, you can either open up your terminal and type in pip install Hugging Face underscore hub and leave a space and type in Pyrebase 4, just like this. You can run this inside of your command prompt if you are on Windows, or your terminal if you're on Mac. But if you want to install it directly from your Python IDE, you can type in import os, just like this, and type in os.system, just like this, and in quotes you can type in pip install Hugging Face underscore hub, just like this, and Pyrebase 4. Basically the same pip command but inside of your Python IDE, and when you run this code you should have your necessary external modules installed. Now the next thing we're going to need to do is actually get our configurations and API key for our main project to work, and for this we're going to need to go over to our browser. Now that we're in our browser, the first thing we're going to need to do is search for this exact URL, which is huggingface.co/settings/tokens. And once you go to this website, you should be taken to this page if you already have a Hugging Face account. If you don't already, you're going to need to create an account and follow the steps necessary. Then once you're on this page, what you're going to need to do is click on this button right here, which says create new token. I'm going to click on that button right there, and it should take me to this page right here. Now to create a token, we're going to need to select a token type right here, and we're going to make it a read token type right here. And for our token name, I'm going to call this my new AI, just like this. And all you have to do is click on create token right here. And once you click on that button, you're going to get your Hugging Face API token right here, and it usually starts with HF underscore. And all you have to do is click on copy right here, and you have your Hugging Face API key. The next thing we're going to need to do is get our Firebase backend configurations. And to do that, we're going to need to go to a different URL. Okay, and the next URL we're going to need to go to is the Firebase console, in which we are going to set up our main Firebase project. And to do this, we're going to type in console, just like this, .firebase.google.com. And this is the link we're supposed to go to in case we want to make a Firebase backend. And the main reason we're having a Firebase backend is so that we can store our data inside of it. And once you're in this page, all you're going to need to do is click on this button that says create a new Firebase project. Click on that right there, and all you have to do is import your project name. I'm going to call it my new AI, just like this, and click on continue right here. And you can enable Gemini features if you want. That's not really necessary, and just click on continue right there. Click on continue one last time, and in case you need any configurations with Google Analytics, you can click on your analytics account. If you don't have any, it's fine, you don't really need it, and click on create project right there, and all you have to do is wait for your project to load up. And once you're done loading your Firebase project, all you have to do is click on this button that says continue right there, and you should be taken to your main Firebase dashboard right here. So the first thing we're going to need to do is create an authentication server. As you can see, there's this search bar right here which says search for products, and all you have to do is type in auth and click on authentication right there. So the main reason of having authentication is so that users can create their own accounts in which their data can be stored inside of the Firebase backend. So once we're on this authentication page right here, all you need to do is click on this button that says sign in method. Click on that right there, and it should take you to this sign in providers page right here. And all you have to do is choose what we are going to be using, and in this case we will be using email and password. All you have to do is click on that and click on enable right here, just like that, and click save. Then our email and password authentication has been enabled inside of Firebase. And just like this, we have our sign in providers enabled right here. As you can see, our status is now set to enabled. Now, the next thing we're going to need to do is set up our database by going right here on product categories. Go to this drop down menu right here and click on Firestore right here. Click on that button right here, and it should take you to the Firestore main page. And right after it loads, this is the page we'll be taken to right here, and all you have to do is click on create database right here and click on that button, and we have to choose between standard edition or enterprise edition, and I'll pick standard edition right here. Click on next, and you can choose any location you want right here and just click on next, and you can say start in production mode or start in test mode, and you can put it in whatever you want, but I'll put it in production mode, it doesn't really matter, and click on create. Then as you can see, all you have to do is wait for it to load up after a while. And as you can see, once it's done loading up, it's going to take you to this main dashboard right here where you can check your data, rules, indexes, and so many other rules right there. The next thing we're going to need to do is go back to this drop down in databases and storage and click on real-time database right there. Once you click on this, it should take you to a separate dashboard for your real-time database. Once it loads up, it should take you to this page right here, and all you have to do is click on create new database right there, and it should take this loading screen right here. Then all we have to do right now is choose our location, and you can go with the default location for now. Click on next right there, and you can put it either in locked mode or inside of test mode. And I'm going to put it inside of locked mode and click on enable right there and wait for it to load up. Once this is loaded up, it should take you to this main page right here, as you can see, and all you have to do is click on rules right here inside of this step, and as you can see, .read here is set to false and .write is also set to false, and all you have to do is change this from false over to true, and same thing for the .write too. All you have to do is change that to true right here and click on the publish button right there. Then as you can see, we have our rules published right there. Then the last thing I'm going to need to do is click on these settings right here, go to general right here, and it should take you to another main page right here, and all you have to do is scroll down to your apps right here, and you have to select what app we're going to create, and we're going to click on this web icon right here. Click on that, and we should see this main page saying register app. All you have to do is type in our app name, and I can call this whatever you want, but I'm just going to call it my web app, or I can call it my AI. All I have to do is type it in, and as you can see, I get my AI right there. Click on register app right there, and all you have to do is give it a few seconds to load up, and it should give us our main Firebase configurations. After it's done loading up, we should see this main Firebase configuration right here. And all we have to do is copy this main part right here, which says Firebase config. All we have to do is hit copy, and then we have our Firebase configurations. The next thing we're going to need to do is actually go back to our main Python IDE and actually start setting up our main AI. Okay, now that we're back inside of our main Python IDE, all we have to do is paste our Hugging Face API key token and paste the configurations we got from Firebase, just like this. So as you can see, this is our API key from Hugging Face right here. This is our main API key, and this is our config we got from our Firebase website. Now, before you actually get to use these things, all you have to do is add all of these things inside of quotes like this, and make sure each and every one of them is inside of quotation marks. Now that we have all that covered, the next thing we're going to need to do is actually change this from Firebase config, and we're just going to change it to config right there. Now that we have all the details we need, let's actually get started into making our main program. So the first thing we're going to need to do is actually import our modules. And the first module we're going to import is Tkinter by typing in import Tkinter as tk, just like this. And this is our main graphics module that we're going to use for the graphical user interface. Next, we're going to get something from Tkinter known as message box and scrolled text. And these are going to be used for our UI scrolling. And to do this, we're going to type in from Tkinter import message box, just like this, and add a comma right there and type in scrolled text. And there we have our imported Tkinter config. Next, we're going to import our Pyrebase module by typing in import Pyrebase, and this is what we're going to use to retrieve data from our main Firebase backend. Another module we're going to need to import is threading by typing in import threading, just like this, and this module is going to be used for speed when running our program so that it doesn't look like it's bugged out or anything like that, and for better user interface. And with the threading module, we're going to import the time module by typing in import time, which basically has similar functions to threading, but they work hand in hand inside of this program. Then the final module we're going to need to import is the inference client from Hugging Face Hub. And to do that, we need to type in from Hugging Face underscore hub import inference client, just like this. Then these are all the modules we're going to need when working with our main Tkinter program. Right after we import our modules, we're going to need to actually configure our main app. And to configure it, we're going to go down about 2 lines, and I'm just going to make a comment and say configs, just like this. And right below this, we're going to type in our AI name. We can call this whatever we want, and my AI is going to be called BGC Milo, which is my YouTube username. And make sure to leave a like if you've made it this far into the video, and subscribe for more content like this. Next, we're going to add our AI persona, which is basically how our AI is going to behave. And you can set that to be whatever you want at all. And I'm going to say you are a helpful cloud-based AI, just like this. The next thing we're going to need to actually customize is our AI module. And to do this, you have to type it specifically as I have typed it, qwen, just like this, slash qwen, again, and 2.5, just like this, dash 7b dash instruct. And this is the module we are going to be using inside of this video because it's one of the free modules that come with Hugging Face for AI development inside of Python. Then let's say we want to add background color and other UI color elements. We can also configure our background color, and I'm going to make it a dark theme, and I'll call it BG dark, and set the color equal to, let me give it a hex value of, let's say 121212, which is going to be used for our color gradient. And let's say I'm going to say bg underscore card, which is also going to be another color gradient, just like this. Add the hashtag symbol right there, and I'm going to call it 1e 1e 1e, just like that. Then I'm going to add our accent for the final UI look, and this is only if you want to add UI. You can skip this part if you want not to have any color gradients behind it. And I'm going to set it BB86 just like this, FC, which this is going to give it the purple color gradient I had shown you before. Then lastly, we're going to add our text color just like this, and I will set it equal to another hex value, which will be E0, 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 just like that. Then next we're going to need our Firebase config, and as you can see, we already have our config right here. As you can see, this is our Firebase config, or this right here, and we're going to need to have this right after our configurations right here. Right after we have our Firebase config, we're going to need our API key, and we can have this set to hf_token, and we'll set it equal to our API key. And make sure this API key is inside of quotes, just like that. And there we have our API key all set up as hf token. Then right below our configurations, now this is the part where we need to initialize our Firebase by typing in Firebase is equal to Pyrebase, just like this, Pyrebase dot initialize, just like this, app, and type in config, because we are initializing our config from the Firebase website, just like that. Next, we're going to need our auth and database by typing in auth, db, and set them equal to firebase.auth, just like this. And as you can see, we get our auth, and set another comma and say firebase.database, just like this. And then we have our Firebase database where our information is going to be stored. So inside this, we're going to have auth and db. And as you can see, firebase.auth is this auth right here, and this db is firebase.database. And for those of you that will get confused in any part of this video, I will make sure to actually leave timestamps in which parts I'm going to start explaining the entire work of code right here. So in case you're kind of confused, you can skip to a specific section where I start explaining the main code. So right below this, we're going to need to add our client, which is our main AI. I set client equal to inference client, just like this. And inside of our inference client, I'll set our token equal to hf_token, which is our API key. The next thing we're going to need to do is actually make a class for our main API app. So I'm going to say class assistant app, just like this. And this is our main class. So I'm going to make a function inside of this class and say def__init, just like this, another set of underscores, add parentheses right there, self, root, just like this. Then right below this function, I'm going to start adding self.root, and this is our main Tkinter root, and set it equal to root, just like that. Then I'm going to say self.root.title, which will be our window title, and I will set it to AI_name, which is our AI name we established right here. The next thing I'm going to need to do is actually set our window geometry by typing in self.root.geometry, just like this. Then inside of parentheses and quotes, I'm going to set it to be, let's say, around 450 by 650 to give it that mobile look to it. And I'll say self.root.configure, or you can say .config for short, basically the same thing, and set the bg equal to bg_dark, which is the configuration we had right here, which will be our background. Right below that, we can say self.window, or you can say self.root.withdraw, which basically makes our window run in the background. Then we'll say self.user_ID is equal to none, because we have not created an account just yet. And we'll say self.history, which is our chat history, and I'll set it equal to empty set of brackets right there. And I'll say self.show_auth underscore window with a set of parentheses right there. And that's our last self statement right here for our definition in it right here. Next, we're going to need to create another function, which is def show auth window. All we have to do is go below this function right here and type in def show underscore auth underscore window, which is basically our login window, and I'll pass in self inside of these parameters. And I'll say self, just like this, dot auth right here underscore window is equal to tk dot top level, just like this, and I'll say self dot root right here. Then all I need to do is type in self dot auth right here underscore win, which is short for window, and I'll say dot title right there, and I'll set it to log in, which will be our login button. Next, I'm going to add self dot auth, just like this, and I'll say underscore win, which is short for window, and I'll set the geometry to be equal to around, let's say, 350 by 450 pixels inside of quotes, just like that. Next, I'm going to set its background by typing in self.auth dot, or let me say auth underscore win dot config, just like this, and set bg equal to bg underscore dark right there. The next thing I'm going to need to do is add a label by typing in tk dot label, just like this, and I'll type in self dot, just like this, auth underscore win, which is the auth window, and this is where our label is going to be, and the text of this window is going to be equal to ai underscore name, and let's add a font to it, and the font is going to be equal to, let's say, something like impact, just to add that aesthetic look to it, and we'll add the font size to be 30 pixels, just like this. Then we can also add a background to it, and we'll set it to be bg underscore dark too, just like this, and the foreground is going to be set equal to accent, which we also declared right at the top, and we're going to pack this and add it to our window right there, and we can add a padding of, let's say, around 30 pixels right there, and go back to our Python code. Then the next thing we're going to need to do right below this is actually add a self entry for where we're going to input our email address by typing in self.email, just like this, underscore e, and set it equal to self dot draw right here underscore field right, just like this, and then we'll type in a set of parentheses right there and say self dot auth underscore window, just like this, and the text will be equal to email, just like that. Next, we're going to add another self statement by saying self dot login, or we can say self dot pass underscore e, just like this, and set it equal to self dot draw underscore field, just like this, and we can have a set of parentheses right here by saying self dot auth underscore window right there, and we'll add a comma right here saying password, just like this, and we'll add a mask. Basically what the mask does is, what are we going to hide our text with, and I'm going to set it to be an asterisk when we're typing in our information. Next, we're going to add our other self statement by saying self dot log in underscore button, just like this, set it equal to tk dot button right here, and it will be inside of the auth window, and let's set the text equal to be, let's say, login, because this is our login button, and we'll set its font to be equal to, let's say, something like Arial, which is close to impact, and we're going to make the font size smaller. We're going to make it 10 pixels, and we're going to make it bold, just like that. Then we'll add a comma right below this, and we're going to set its background equal to something like the accent we declared right here with two C's right there, and that's our accent. The next thing we're going to add is a foreground, and the foreground will be bg underscore dark, and the bd, just like this, by typing in bd. Then we're going to make our bd equal to 0, which is our border, and we're going to make the width of our main button equal to 20, just like this, and our command, which is our button function, and we're going to set it to be self.start underscore auth. This is our function, and we haven't created it yet, so we're going to create it right above it. The next thing we're going to need to do is create another self statement by typing in self dot login underscore btn dot pack, and we are packing our button inside of our window, and let's just add a padding of 15 pixels right there. Then we're going to make another Tkinter button, which this one is going to be our sign up button by typing in tk.button, just like this, and we'll make it inside of the auth window, just like this, and the text is going to be equal to sign up, just like this. Then our background for our window is going to be set to equal bg dark, just like this, and the font, or let me say the foreground, is going to be equal to text color, just like that. Then the border, which is bd, will be set equal to 0, just like that. Then now that we're done with this, we're going to make our command, and to make our command for this, all we have to do is go down right below our tk.button line, just like this, and indent right here and type in command is equal to lambda, just like this, full colon right there, then type in threading, which is our threading module right there, dot thread, just like this, and inside of parentheses we're going to set target equal to self dot run underscore auth, add a comma right there and say args is equal to sign up, just like this. Then we're going to add parentheses right here, add a comma right before these parentheses and say dot start, just like this, with a set of parentheses right there. Add another closing parentheses for this part right here and say dot pack right there. Then this is our main code, just like this, without any other complications. Then all we have to do is go down a line and dedent right here, exit that, and create a def draw field function, just like this. Then inside of these parameters, we're going to pass in self, comma, we're going to pass in parent too, add a comma right there, we're going to pass in label right there, comma, and we're going to pass in mask, just like this, and set mask equal to a set of empty quotation marks, just like that. Now that we've declared our function, all we have to do is go right below our function and type in tk.label, just like this, and we're going to pass in parent as our first parameter right there, add a comma right there and say text is equal to label, just like this, and make sure it's in lowercase. The next thing we're going to need to do is set the background, and the background will be equal to bg dark, just like this. Then next we're going to make our foreground, and the foreground will be equal to the text underscore color, just like that. Then we're going to pack our main label, just like this. The next thing we're going to need to do is go right below that, make an e variable and set it equal to tk.entry, which is basically our entry, and set the first parameter equal to parent and set the background equal to bg underscore card, just like this. Then we're going to make our foreground white by typing in fg is equal to white, just like this. Then the next thing we're going to need to do is set the bd, just like this, equal to 0. Right after we make our bd 0, we're going to insert a ground, just like this. We're going to insert a background by typing in insert background, and this will be equal to white, just like this. Then the next thing we're going to need to do right below that is return e right here. then we are done with our def draw field function. All we have to do is go below that and make a define start underscore auth function, which starts our authentication, and we're going to pass in a self parameter right there. Then go below that and type in self.login underscore btn right there .config, just like that. Set a set of parentheses and type in text is equal to connecting, which is what it's going to show once we click our login button. So we're going to be connecting, and we're going to say state of this button is going to be equal to disabled. So the button will not be able to work once you click on it as it's loading. Next, we're going to say threading, which is our threading module dot thread, just like this. And inside the set of parentheses, we're going to say target, just like this, and target will be equal to self.run underscore auth right there. And we're going to add a comma and say args, just like this, which is the arguments is equal to, add a set of parentheses right there and say log in, just like that. Then add a comma right here, add a comma after these two and say daemon, just like this, and set it equal to true, just like this. Then right after this, we're going to say dot start right there. Make sure this is exactly the way I have typed it, otherwise there's a chance it might not run. Then we're going to leave our function right there and create a new function by typing in def run underscore auth, which runs our authentication, and we're going to pass in a self parameter right there and say self.login, just like that. And what we're going to need to do is say self.login function, which is basically our login function. But there is a way to make this easier by removing this and typing in self, comma, mode right here, where inside of these parameters, we're going to have a self and mode passed into it. Then all you have to do is go right below that, make a try statement right here, and set u equal to auth dot sign underscore in with underscore email, just like this, and password. And we're going to pass in our email and password by typing in inside these parentheses. We're going to say self dot email underscore e dot get, just like this, and we're going to add a comma and say self dot pass underscore e dot get, which is our password entry, and just correct this, and there we have it. The next thing we're going to need to do is make an if statement right following the u interface right here. All you have to do is go right to the end of this line of code, right after the .get right here, close it and say if mode, just like this, is equal to login, then we're going to make our login function, but we're going to add an else statement right here. And if it's not login, we're going to say auth dot create underscore user with email and password, just like that. Then right here, we're going to pass in the same things and type in self dot email underscore e, which is the email entry. And we're going to do the same for the password entry by typing in self dot password entry dot get right here, and add a comma right there and say self dot pass underscore e dot get, just like that. Then we've set up our authentication system. All we have to do is get our user ID now. Go right below that and type in self dot user underscore ID is equal to u. Add a set of brackets and type in local with a capital letter I and say ID, just like that. Then we have our local ID. All we have to do is go right below that and type in self dot root, just like this, dot after, add a set of parameters right there, type in a 0 dot self dot finish underscore auth, which is going to run our finish authentication function, and it's going to close our window. And just in case we get any errors, we're going to type in except, and we type in self dot root dot after, then a set of parentheses add a 0 right there and type in LAMBDA, set of full colons right there, add more parentheses right there and type in message box just like this, and we'll type in dot SHOWERROR, which is show error, just like this. Add another set of parentheses and type in error, just like that. Add a comma and say auth failed. And this is in case our password is wrong or anything like that. Then we're going to add a comma right after we close that parentheses and type in self.login_btn, just like this, .config, and say text is equal to log in, and it will go back to log in, and we'll set its state. Just add a comma right there and say state is equal to normal, and then we are done with that function right there. And make sure you have 3 parentheses closing this line of code. All you have to do is go right below that and exit our except statement right there. Just go back and create another function by typing in def finish underscore auth, which is the finish auth function we're using right here. All you need to do is type in def finish auth, pass in the self parameter right here, then go down, indent right there, and type in self.auth underscore window dot destroy, which destroys our authentication window. And we can type in self.build underscore chat, which loads in our chat UI by typing in self.build chat UI, just like this, with a set of parentheses. And we type in self.root.diconify, which brings our window to life. And we're going to say threading, just like this, dot thread, and we'll set our target equal to, we're going to set our target equal to self.load underscore past underscore chats, which loads our chat history. And we're going to add a comma right there and say DAEMON and set it equal to true, just like that, and type in dot start. Then this will start our main function. Then all you need to do is go down a line, just like that, and say def finish underscore auth. Then that's our main function that we're done with. Then all you need to do is create a new function right there and say build underscore chat underscore UI, which is our new build chat UI function, and we're going to pass in our self parameter right there. Then go right below that and type in header and set header equal to tk.frame, just like that, and say self.root. Set a comma and say background is equal to bg underscore card, just like that. And let's say the height will be equal to 60, just like that. Then we're going to go right below this line and we're going to make header dot pack and add it to our window, just like that. Then we type in fill and set the fill equal to x, just like that. Then right below this, we're going to add a Tkinter label by typing in tk.label right here, and we're going to add it inside of our header, just like this. And we'll set the text equal to be f. Make sure this f is there, add quotes, and then we're going to make our text to be AI name. Just here we're going to add curly brackets and say AI underscore name, because we're adding our AI name to it. Then we're going to add a comma right after AI name right there and say font is equal to open and close parentheses, and we're going to set this equal to be Arial, just like this, comma 10, comma bold, just like that. Then right after this, we're going to add a comma right after the font and set the background to be equal to bg underscore card. And then we're going to set our foreground to be equal to a hex value, and our foreground will be equal to, let me just correct that right there, add a hashtag symbol right there and set it equal to 03DAC6, just like that. Then we're going to pack it by typing in .pack, and inside these parentheses we're going to type in side is equal to left so that the text can appear left aligned, add a comma right there, right after the left, add a comma and say pad x, which is the padding, and we're going to say 15, and pad y will also be 15 right there. Then we're going to drop right below this line and continue writing the rest of our code. Then right after our tk.label, now we're going to create our clear cloud button, which this button is going to clear our database completely. Then right below our tk.label, we're going to type in tk.button. We're going to make a button that actually clears our cloud data. And we're going to type in header, just like this, add a comma and say text is equal to clear UI, just like this. Then the font of our text is going to be set equal to, let's say, Arial, just like this. And the text size will be set equal to 8, just like that. Then the background of this is going to be set to a hex value 2, and it will be set to hashtag, let's say something like 34495E, just like that. Then right after we create that hex value, we're going to set our foreground, which is our text color, and we'll set it to something like white, just like that. Then our BD, our border, just like this, will be set equal to 0, and we're going to have a padding of 8, just like that. And this is inside of our main button configurations right there. The next thing we're going to need to do is actually run our main button command, and all we have to do is create a command function right for it. So all we have to do is go to the end right here, type a comma and say command is equal to self dot clear, just like this, underscore local underscore UI, which is our clear UI function, and we're going to have it packed right for us, just like this, and say side is equal to right, and it will be packed in the right side of our main window, and we'll add a padding of, let's say, something like 5 pixels, just like that. Then we have our main padding function added right there, and this is our clear UI button. Then what if we want to clear our whole device chat? Only something that's inside the chat. We're going to type in tk.button, which this button is going to have a main function of only clearing the chat on the device, while this one will clear everything on the cloud too. So we're going to say tk.button, then we'll set it equal to be inside of the header, just like that. Then the text will be equal to, let's set it to be something like clear UI, just like this. We'll set it to be clear UI for now too, or no, this one is actually wipe cloud, just like this. This one clears everything from the cloud data, so let's make it more obvious by saying this one is clear UI, which is only for the device, and we'll set clear UI, and we're going to set the font for this clear UI to be equal to basically the same thing. Set it to be Arial, just like this, and we're going to set it to be 8 right here, and the background will be something like, let's make it more on the red side because it's clearing something only on the device right here. So we're going to make the background to be, or we can make it basically the same. We can make pound 34495 E, just like this. Then that's our background color. And just so that we don't make them look exactly the same, I'm going to clear this wipe cloud color. You can leave it as it is if you want to leave it like that, but I'm going to make mine more of a more red color by saying E74C3C, and that's more of a red color, just like that. Then now to go back to our clear device only function right here, right after we declare our background, we're also going to need to declare our main foreground by typing in foreground is equal to white, which is basically our text color right there. And I'm going to set the BD equal to 02 right here, and the font has already been set right there. And the next thing we're going to need to do is actually add padding by typing in PADX, and padding X is going to be set equal to 15, and padding Y will also be set equal to 15. But let me just change the font size a bit and say this one will be equal to, let's say, something like 11 pixels, just like that. Then the background and everything else is set correctly to how it's supposed to be. Next, we're going to add our command by saying command right here at the end. We're going to say command is equal to the name of our soon to be created command. We're going to say self.clear underscore local underscore UI, just like this. And this function right here, right above us, is clear database, and this one is clear local UI. Then all we're going to need to do is pack it by saying dot pack right there, and we're going to add the side it's going to belong to, and we're going to set it to be on the right side, just like this. The next thing we're going to actually need to set is the padding X, the last padding that we're going to add to it by typing in pad X, and we're going to set it equal to 5, just like that. Then the next thing we're going to need to do right after we declare our padding right there, we're going to need to declare our text box in which our chat is going to actually take place. So we're going to go right below this, and we're going to exit this indent right here, go right below that and say self.chat underscore box right there, and it will be set equal to scrolled text so that we can be equal and able to scroll our text, and say scroll text dot scrolled, just like this, text. And inside of these parentheses, we're going to say self dot root, and we're going to add it to our root window and say the background is equal to bg underscore dark, just like this. Then the foreground, just like this, is going to be equal to text underscore color. Then the bd right here, we're going to say bd, and bd will be equal to 0. Then just for the looks of it, we're going to add a font and set font equal to Arial, just like this, and add a comma right there and say 11. Then the padding right here, we're going to say pad X is equal to 15 right there, just like this, and our pad Y is going to be equal to 15 too, just like this. There we have it, and set equal to 15. All you need to do is go right below this line and make another self statement and say self dot chat box 2 chat underscore box, and we're going to say dot pack right there, and inside of these dot pack parentheses we're going to set fill equal to be both, just like this, and expand equal to true, just like this, so that we can have more user interface expansion right there. Then we're going to go right below this line and say self.chat underscore box, just like that, then a set of parentheses right there. Or we can say self.chatbox.tag, just like this, then add an underscore and say config, which is our tag config right there, and say inside our first parentheses we're going to say user underscore tag, just like that. Then we're going to say foreground, which is our fg, and set the foreground equal to a hex value, and I'm going to set it equal to 00d for ff, just like that. Then the font right here will be set equal to something like Arial right here, and right after Arial I'm going to make it a font size of 11, and I'm going to make it bold, just like that. Then we're going to go right below this line, make another self statement for our chat box and say self dot chat underscore box, just like this, dot tag underscore config right there, add a set of parentheses and say AI underscore tag, which is what our AI is going to be saying to us, and say foreground, just like this, is equal to, let's say, something like accent right there, and set the font equal to something like Arial 2, just like this, Arial, and we're going to make the font size to be 11, and we will make it bold, just like this. Then there we have our main chat tags for our chat window, just like that. What we need to do is right below our self.chatbox functions, we're going to need to make an input frame by typing in input underscore frame, just like this, and set it equal to tk.frame, frame right here, and we're going to add it inside of our root, which is our main window, by typing in self.root inside of the first parameter, and we'll set our background equal to bg_card, just like this, and add a pad X of, let's say, something like 15 pixels, and same thing for the pad Y, which will also be 15 pixels, just like that. Then to configure our input frame further, we're going to type in input_frame.pack, just like this, and set the fill equal to be X right there. Then right after we do this, we're going to say self.msg_entry and set it equal to tk.entry, just like that. Then we're going to put it inside of input_frame right here, and our background for this input frame is going to be set equal to, let's say, something like a hex value of 2 capital letter C right here, 2C2C, just like this, which is going to add a nice color gradient to it. Then the FG is going to be a classic white for our foreground right there, and the BD will be set equal to 0. And I'm going to type in BD is equal to 0 right there. And right after the BD, I'm going to say insert background to be something like, let's say I'm going to make it a hex value 2, or I can just make it a simple standard white color, just like that. Then at the end of it, I'm going to add a font to it, and I'm going to make the font to be something like Arial right there, and a font size of 11. Then what we're going to need to do is go right below this line right there, and we're going to customize our self.msg_entry, which is our message entry, where we're going to input our information, and we're going to say .pack right there, and we're going to add it to be on the left side and say side is equal to left, which makes it aligned to the left. And we're going to set fill to be equal to something like X, and add a comma and say expand, just like this, expand, and set expand to be equal to something like true, just like that. Then we're going to say pady and set it equal to 10, just like that. Then we're going to type in self.msg_entry, just like this, .bind right here, and we're going to add the return statement. We're going to add a return key, which when we click enter, it's also going to send the message instead of using our main cursor all the time. So when we hit enter, our message will be sent. Then we're going to add a comma right there and say lam bda, just like that, and add an e right here for the entry, add a full colon right there, and say self.start_chat right there. Then we have our main functionality for our message entry. Now all we have to do is actually add our send button by going right below these self statements and saying tk.button right here, which we're going to add inside of input_frame, and we're going to set the text equal to be, let's say, something like send, a basic send button right there, and the font will be equal to whatever you want to make it, but in this case I'm going to make my font Arial, just like this, and I'm going to set the font size to be something like 9, and I'm going to make it bold, just like that. Then I'm going to add a background to it, and I'm going to set the background to be equal to accent, just like this, and the foreground to be equal to bg_dark, just like that. Then right after this, I'm going to add a comma right there and say padding of, let's say, pad X, I'm going to set it equal to 15 pixels, just like this, and I'm going to add a BD, and the BD will be equal to 0, just like that, right after the pad X. Then I'm going to add a command too, and the command will be equal to self.start_chat, which is our start chat function, which can also be accessed through the enter key. Then I'm going to pack it right at the end of this code. I'm going to type in .pack and add it to the right side of the window and say side is equal to right, just like that. Then it will be on the right side of the window, and I'm going to add a padding of, let's say, something like 10,0, just like this. Then that's my pad X. Then all I need to do is actually make another function which is going to be my def clear underscore local underscore UI, which is basically the function we attached to this right here, which clears our local UI. Then we're going to pass in a self parameter right here, and we're going to go right into the function, and we're going to say self dot chat underscore box, just like this, dot config right here, and we're going to say state is equal to normal, just like this. Then right below this, we're going to say self.chat underscore box, just like that. We're going to say delete, just like this. And then right here, we're going to type in 1.0 and say tk.end. And this is going to clear our main chat box function. So we're going to say self.chat underscore box, just like this, dot config, and we're going to say state is equal back to disabled, just like this. And our main box is going to be set back equal to disabled. Then we're going to print in our terminal and say screen cleared right after we clear our main screen. And then we have our screen clear function just like that. Then just to make our database clear function too, we're going to type in def, just like this, clear underscore database, just like this. Then we're going to pass in a self parameter right there, go into the function and type in if message, just like this, box dot. After our message box, we're going to add a dot and say ask y e s n o, just like that. Then we're going to say confirm wipe, just like this. And this is going to be a prompt whether we want to delete our chat or not. Then we're going to add a comma right here saying delete all message history from database, just like this. And then it's going to ask it as a question. So I'm just going to add a question mark right at the end of it right there. Then the user is either going to have to answer yes or no. And we're going to type in a try statement right here to avoid any errors right after it. So after our if statement right here, we're going to go right into it because this is our if statement right here. We're going to add a full colon and add a try statement right below it. Then in this try statement, we're going to say db.child, just like this. Then inside of our users folder, we're going to type in .child again, and we're going to get our specific user ID, just like this. But for clarity, we're going to type in self to avoid any errors and say self.user_id, just like that. And we're going to say .child right again and say history, just like this. And we're going to say .remove. And this completely removes our history, just like that. Then we're going to type in self.clear, just like this, underscore local underscore UI, just like that. Then all I need to do after this is type in except right here, message box, just like this, in case we get any errors, dot show error, just like that, and type in error, just like that, add a comma and say database connection failed. And this is in case we get any database connection failures, just like that. Then we have created our main function that clears our database, just like that. Then right after we create our clear database function, I'm going to make a start chat function. Right below this clear database function, I'm going to go right under it and make a start underscore chat function by passing a self parameter right here and saying msg, which is short for message, is equal to self.msg, just like this, underscore entry dot get right there. So the next thing I'm going to do is type in if not msg, then I'm going to type in dot strip right there and type in a set of parentheses and say return right there. Then I'm going to say self dot update right there underscore screen, and then I'll type in you, because this is what you are typing, then add comma msg comma user underscore tag, just like that. Then this is our update screen function. Next, I'm going to add a self.msg underscore entry dot delete, just like this. And this is our delete function. And I'll type in 0 comma tk dot end. And this is if we try to delete our main chat. So this is our MSG function, and this should be indented right here inside of our function right there. And these are the lines of code that we are going to need. Then to add a specific look to it, like the way other AIs like Gemini and Claude have their message outputted, which comes out either word by word or sentence by sentence, we're going to type in threading, just like this, dot thread, and we're going to say target, just like this, will be equal to self dot run underscore AI, comma args is equal to msg, just like this. Then add a comma right there, and right there I'm also going to add a comma, then type in daemon is equal to something like true right there, and I'm going to say dot start, just like this. Then right below our start function, we're going to go right after it and say def run underscore AI, which this function initializes our AI and runs it. And we're going to pass in the self argument and the MSG argument right there. Then we're going to make a try statement by saying try h is equal to add brackets, add curly brackets, and add roll right there, and say system, just like this. Then right here we're going to say the content of our AI. And for those of you that watched my video on how to make an AI using Hugging Face without any graphics, you'll be very familiar with this step, and the content will be equal to AI underscore persona, just like that. Then the next thing we're going to need to do right after this is type in plus self dot history, just like this. Then add another plus right there. Do the same process by typing in row right here, but instead of making the row system this time, we're going to make the role user by typing in user right here. Then right after we type this, we're going to make content, add a comma right there, and say content is equal to msg. Without any quotes, we're going to make it msg, and that's what the user is going to feed to the AI. Then now we're going to need our AI response by typing in res, which is short form for response, and res, which is our response, is going to be equal to client dot chat, just like this. And we're going to type in chat underscore completion, just like this. And we're going to say our model right here, right after our chat completion, we're going to say model is equal to AI underscore model right there. Add a comma right after that and say messages is equal to h, and say max underscore tokens is equal to, let's say, something like either 200, or you can set it to 250 or 500, but for this video I'm going to set it equal to 250. Then I'm going to set our reply variable, which is what the AI is going to output to us, and I'm going to say reply is equal to res, just like this, which is response dot choices right here. Add a 0 right after that and say message dot content, just like that. Then we have gotten our main response. Now, just to save this data into our Google Firebase, we're going to say db.child. This is to upload our data to Google Firebase, and we're going to say users right here dot child again, and we're going to say user underscore id, just like this. And right after this, we're going to add another dot child, or we can say history, just like this. Add another dot child and add history right there. And right before this user ID, we're going to add self to avoid any functions, right? Any function errors right there. and we're going to say .child history right at the end, and we're going to say .push right there, add a set of parentheses, curly brackets, and inside the first curly bracket we're going to type in Q in quotes, add a full colon and type MSG right there, add a comma, then type in A and type in reply, which is basically the same content as this raw user content MSG function right here. Then we're going to go right below this line of code and continue writing the rest of our code. So to stream our response into the output field, we're going to say self.root, just like this, .after, then open a set of parentheses, type in 0, then add a comma and type in LAMBDA, add a full colon and say self, just like this. And after our self, we're going to say self.stream, just like this, underscore text. And we're going to stream the text. We're going to stream AI underscore name, just like this. Then right after AI name, we'll add a comma and say reply. And then right after reply, we're going to add in AI underscore tag, just like this. Then we will have our information spitted out right there. Then right at the bottom right here, we're going to make an accept value statement. Just say accept, just like this, because this comes right after our try statement right here. Right below this, we're going to say self.root. This is in case we get any errors, .after. Then we're going to say 0 right here. Then we're going to say LAMBDA, just like this, and say self.update underscore screen, just like this, and add another set of parentheses. The first thing we'll pass is system, just like this, then say could not connect, just like this, or you can say could not connect to AI. Then right after this, we're going to type in a comma and say user underscore tag. Then we have our user tag right at the end of it. Then that's basically the functionality we're going to need for our run AI function. Then right after we create our run AI function, we're going to need to create another function because this AI is full of multiple functions. We're going to need to create a stream text function by typing in def stream underscore text, and then we're going to pass in self right here and say sender, comma, then we're going to add in a text, just like this, and then we're going to add in tag. Then these are all the parameters we're going to need to pass. So in this function, we're passing in 4 parameters. So right below this, we're going to type in self.chat, just like this, underscore box, which is our main chat box, and we're going to type in .config, and then we're going to say state is equal to normal, just like this. So essentially what this function is meant to do is give it that stream text look so that it looks smooth and faster for the user's appearance, and so that everything looks more functional and not buggy like an old Python script. So I'm going to type in self.chatbox right after this, self.chatbox, and say .insert. Then right here we'll type in end inside a set of quotes, then add F right here and quotes, then say sender, just like this. Then we're going to add a colon right here and say comma tag. Then this is our main Python script for our stream text. Then right at the end of it, we're going to say words is equal to text.split, just like this, then add a set of quotes with a space in between them right there. Then we have our stream text function. Then right inside of this function, we're going to make another function by saying def add underscore word, which is going to make it even more smoother by saying index is equal to 0 right here inside of these parentheses. Then we're going to make an if statement and say if index is less than len words, just like this. Then we're going to make something happen and say self.chat underscore box dot config right there and say state is equal to normal right there. Then the next thing we're going to need to do is type in self.chat underscore box and say chatbox.insert right there. Then right after this, we're going to type in end and say words, comma, words right there, and add index to it right there. Then right after this, we're going to skip right below it and say self.chat_box, just like this, .config right there. Then I'm going to say state will be set equal to disabled right there. I'm going to go right below this and say self.chat_box right again, and I'm going to say .yView, and I'll set the yView underscore move to, just like this, 1.0, just like that. Then right below this, I'm going to say self.root.after. Then I'll set this to be 40, comma, LAMBDA, then full colon and say add underscore word, just like this. Then I'm going to say index plus 1. Then this is our main full code. Then right below this, I'm going to add an else statement in case we get any errors or anything doesn't work fully properly. I'm going to say self.chat_box right there, and I'll say .config, add a set of parentheses and say state is equal to normal right there. Then go right below that and say self.chat_box and set it equal to, or we can say .insert. Instead of going the long way, we're going to say .insert. Right after chat box, we type in .insert and a set of parentheses right there, and we're going to add end right there. Then add a comma, then say \n/n, which goes back down 2 lines for the user to actually input their next statement. Then we're going to add self.chat_box.config right there, and we're going to say state is equal to disabled, just like this. The next thing we're going to need to do right after we make this if and else statement, we're going to actually run our add word function. Right inside here, we're going to say add, right inside our stream text, we're going to go right out of it right here and say add underscore word. And we're going to run our function right from there. Then right after we make our add word function run right there, we're going to type in def right here, right below our add word function, then ddent right there and type in def load underscore past, just like this, underscore chats, just like that. Then pass in a self parameter right there. Then inside of this function, we're going to make a try statement right there and say past is equal to db.child, which is database.child right there, and we're going to look for users.child again. We're going to look for our self.user underscore id, and we're going to say .child again, and we're going to say history, just like this. And there we have it, and we'll type in .get right here, .val, which is .value, and this is basically the same process as in the non-graphical user interface part of this program. So we're going to type in if past, just like this. We can say if past, then we will run for node in, just like this, node in past.values. Then we're going to run self, just like this, dot history dot extend, just like this, set of parentheses. Then we're going to add brackets, then we're going to add curly brackets again. Then we'll pass in role as the first one right here. Then for the second one, after the full colon, we're going to say users. Then we'll add a comma right here and say content, and the content is going to be equal to, we're going to add a full colon right there, and we'll say node, just like this, add a bracket, then add quotes, singular quote right there, and say q, just like that. Then right after this, we're going to add a comma right here. We're going to add a comma, just like this. Then after we add our comma right here, just there, then we're going to type in another set of curly brackets right there. Then we'll type in role for the first one, then the second one will be assistant, just like this, add a comma right there. Then we're going to say content, just like this, and the content we're going to add a full colon right here, and the content is going to be node, just like this, brackets, singular quotes, and then we're going to say lowercase a, just like that. Then all we need to do is just go right below this and continue with our code by saying self dot root, just like this, dot after. Then after this after, we're going to add a set of parentheses, pass in 0, then type in LAMBDA, just like this, then say n is equal to node, just like this, add a full colon, then say self dot update underscore screen, just like that, then add a set of parentheses and say u, just like this, because this is the user input, then add a comma and say n, then a pair of brackets, singular quotes, and then add a lowercase q right there. Then right after the pair of brackets, we're going to add a comma, just like that, then say user underscore tag. Right after this, we're going to type in self dot root dot after, just like this, then say 0 comma lambda, then say n is equal to node, just like this, then add a full colon, just like that, and say self dot update underscore screen, just like that. Then inside of this pair of quotes, we're going to say AI underscore name, because this is what the AI is going to be outputting, and we're going to say comma n, just like this, then add a pair of brackets and add a right there. Then after this, we're going to add a comma and say AI underscore tag, just like that. All you need to do is go right below that and say except, in case we get any error, we're going to go right back to our try statement and say except, just like this, and we're going to pass it just like that. In case we get any errors, we're just going to pass it just like that. Okay, now that we're getting to the final pieces of the code that are remaining, we're going to go right below this and exit this main function, and we're going to type in def, just like this, update underscore screen, which is going to update our main window. The first thing we're going to pass is self right there. The second thing we'll pass is sender, and the third thing we'll pass is text, and the last thing we'll pass is going to be tag, just like that. Then right below this, we're going to run a self statement, just like this, by typing in self dot chat underscore box right here. Then we're going to type in dot config, just like this. Then we're going to say state is equal to normal right there. Then right below this, we're going to say self dot chat underscore box dot insert right there. Then inside this insert function, I'm going to add end right there, add a comma right after this and say f, then I will say sender right there. Then right after this, I'm going to add a full colon, and then just like this at the end, I'll add tag. Then this will be our sender tag right at the end of it. Then I'm going to say self.chat underscore box right again, and I'm going to say dot insert right there, and I'm going to say end, just like this, as it was right above, and I'm going to say f, just like this, quotes, then say text right here, and add two backslash n's, which breaks two lines down. And I'm going to add another self statement by saying self.chat underscore box right there, dot config, and I'm going to say state is equal to disabled, just like that. Then the next thing I'm going to do is type in self.chat underscore box dot y view, just like this, underscore move to 1.0. So this actually adds realism to our main Python app. So right below this, I'm going to add an if statement, which actually is going to run our whole set of codes, and it shouldn't be indented in any way. It should be right at the end right here. And in this set of code, it's on line number 167, and I'm going to say if underscore underscore name underscore underscore is equal to, then I'm going to say underscore underscore main underscore underscore, and I'm going to say app underscore root, just like this, is equal to tk.tk, just like that. Then I'm going to say assistant app, then I'm going to say app underscore root, then the last line of code is app underscore root dot main loop. Just like that, we have completed our whole Python program. Now all that's left to do is run and test our code. Our code will be greeted with this Tkinter window, as you can see right here, which we can make full screen if we want to make it full screen right here, and we can make it a minimal screen right here. So all we need to do is actually choose whether to log in or sign up by inputting our email right here. But since this is my database and I already had an account, all you can do is type in your email, and I'll type in mine right there, just like this, and you can type in your password, and as you can see, it's hidden with asterisk right there, and click on login. So you can see that connection right there as it is connecting. Then you can see your AI right here. Then here's your input field. You can input what you want and just say hey and hit enter, or you can hit send if you want. Both of them have the same functionality. And here's your AI answer. So if you want, you can give it a name. Your name is now Mellow, and this data will be updated into the Google Firebase, meaning the AI will remember this name for as long as it has to remember, or as long as you haven't clicked on this wipe cloud button. So all you need to do is actually wait for AI to respond. And as you can see, the AI is now like, okay, from now on, I'll be known as Mellow. So if you want, you can clear the UI, and now the UI is completely cleared. And you can say, hey again, and let's see what the AI is going to say. Hey there, how can I help you today? So I'm going to say, what is your name? And I'm going to ask it for its name, and I'm expecting it to give me Mellow as an answer. So in case your internet is slow, this AI might take time to respond, or you might need to send it twice and say what is your name twice, just like this, and then your AI should be able to give you your answer right here. And my name is Mellow, how can I help you today? So even if you're to close your program and run it again, you'd still have the same functionality within it. So now here's the part where I actually get to explaining the main code and everything that comes with the code. Now to actually explain the code in detail. So as you may know, the first thing we did is actually import our modules. And out of all these modules we imported, we only had two external modules, which is the Pyrebase 4 and the Hugging Face Hub, which both have their simultaneously different functions. And to import our modules, all you have to do is type it exactly as it is right here. Then the second thing we did is actually configure our main Python program. First, we started with the AI name, and we called this new AI, but you can change it to whatever you want. In my video, I put it as BGC underscore Mellow, and this is the thing that will show to your AI as the main window like this. This is what it actually shows right here. So you can log into your AI name right here. So I'm going to close that as for now. Then the other thing we did is actually get our AI persona right here. So our AI persona is basically how you want your AI to act and behave towards you. So in this case, I told it is a helpful cloud-based AI inside of Python. Then we have the AI model, and this is the model we are using. Like the way Gemini has its own modules, like fast thinking, it has Pro, it has Gemini 3, and all these other models. And this model is basically a text-based model inside of the main Python interpreter that we can use to get from Hugging Face, and it is 100% free. Then this is our background and our other background color. So this is our dark background, and this is basically close to our lighter side of the background. And this is our accent, which is another color variable which we used in this video. Then this is our regular text color, which is more on the purple side for the color gradient look. Then we have our config for our Firebase right here, which we got from console.firebase.google.com, where I showed you how to set up your own Firebase project and actually get these configurations from the main website. And right below that, we have our Hugging Face API key, which you can get from huggingface.co/settings/tokens and is 100% free to create. and make sure you have the HF underscore as your starting point for your API key. Then right below that, we have our initialization steps right here, which we have Firebase right here, and set Firebase equal to Pyrebase dot initialize underscore app. Then inside the parentheses, we have our config right here, which is this config that's right there. Right below this Firebase right here, we have auth and auth, comma DB, which is authentication, comma database right here. And the first auth is equal to this firebase.auth right here. And the second one here, which is DB, is equal to firebase.database right there. Then right after that, we have our client initialized right here. And as you can see, client is equal to inference client, which is what we imported from the Hugging Face Hub right here, the inference client right here. And it is the token right here is equal to HF token, which is our Hugging Face token right there. Then right below that, we have a class, which is our assistant app right here. This is our assistant app class right here. And we started with our first function, which is def underscore underscore init right here, 2 underscores following that. And the first parameter we passed is a self parameter right here, then followed by root right there. So the reason we're adding self is to avoid any conflict with other variables and other errors involving other variables. So that's why we add self before every variable right here. And as you can see, we have self.root, which is basically our window. And self.root is equal to root right here, which is our window. And when we add .title there, that's our window title. And so follows for the other configurations here too, like geometry configure, which you can shorten with config right here, but you can add configure if you want to be more specific. And this window dot withdraw is basically to hide the main window. Then we have our user ID, which we have set to none right now because our user has not yet logged in or signed up. Same thing for our chat history right here. It's still empty right there. And this is our show auth window function because we want to show our window. Then right here we have our show auth window function with a self parameter being passed right there. And all you need to do is copy this exact code as it is right here for the accent look. And as you can see, self.auth window is equal to tk.toplevel self.root right here, which root is our window right there. And if you want this exact source code as I mentioned earlier, all you have to do is visit bitscriptlive.blogspot.com and you can have access to all this source code and way more, including my other projects that I have made on this very YouTube channel, like these other things like the formula solver, game picker, image generator using Hugging Face as well, local offline AI, and MP3 to MP4 converter, and vice versa, and the weather predictor too, and all these other projects too, and soon more to come. Now to get back into the explanatory part, right here we have our draw field too, and basically our draw field is basically where we show our information. This is where our information gets outputted from the AI to the user in which we are going to see. And this is basically our login and sign up page. This is where our entries lie. Then we have our start auth function right here, which actually starts our authentication for starting the whole login functionality and other things like that. So this is our login button function for when we click the login button. Then we have run auth function right here, which is in case we do the same thing, but this is what happens in the back end. This is the background process of our start auth function right there. Then we have our finish auth function, which if we actually get it successfully, then we will close that window and open a new window, which is root.deiconify right there, which is going to open our new main AI window. Then we have a function which is build chat AI right here. And this function basically just builds our window user interface right here with all these lines of code right here, all formatted and perfectly seen right there. Then we have our clear local UI and clear database functions right here. So essentially, clear local UI is used to clear the UI chat that we have inside of our chatbot, and clear database is used to clear the information that we have inside of our database. So erasing all the names, all the user data, and all other information included with it. Then we have our start chat function right here, which is basically where we're going to be inputting our message from and hitting enter to send it to our AI so that we get our response. Then right after our start chat, we get our run underscore AI function. And this function is basically made so that our AI can actually generate a response and output it to the user so that the user can actually use that knowledge. Then right below that, we have a stream text function, which actually makes the user input and the AI's output look more real and less buggy and more like a modern AI setup. Then right there we have this add word function, which makes it way smoother, which is like the way Gemini outputs its information, or word by word, paragraph, or sentence by sentence, and not just one pop of code right on the screen. Then we have load past chats function, which loads our previous chats from before. So if we were to run our code again, we would see our past chats from the last time we were talking with our AI. And that's why we added that clear button, so that in case you don't want to see those past chats, you can click on the clear button so that all those chats just disappear. Then we have our update screen function right here, which consistently refreshes our screen so that we get the latest output from our AI right there. So all you need to do is actually copy this right here, and this is the basic input and output of the main AI. And right here, this is our run function for our main AI, which these three functions are needed for our AI to actually run. And we're running it within an if statement right here to make it look more professional. And thank you guys for watching if you've reached this far. So thank you to you guys for watching today's video. And if you need more tutorials like this, or if you want the source code to this whole Python program, in case you need the full code, all you need to do is visit the link in the description at Bitscript Live, where I post all my free source codes free to use right there. And if you want an explanation to detailed code of this video, I'll make sure to leave a link in the description for the explanation part of this video. And if you made it this far into the video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.